Good day, bonjour, bonjour. These are just the words that you need to know. So while you're cleaning up and making sure everything is tidy, these are some new key terms to add to your vocabulary or what is called your lexicon so that you have more to use while you're talking and so that you know a little bit more. As you already know, these words can go out of your memory just fine. So here's the first one. Whirls. What are whirls? First, how do you spell whirls? You spell it WHORLS, and they are a pattern of spirals or concentric circles. Kind of like flared concentric circles. Concentric, concentric. For denoting circles, arcs, or other shapes which share the same center, the larger often completely surrounding the smaller. What's a quick word that starts with a B for concentric? Bullseye, flank. This means on one side, a fireplace flanked by bookshelves, one on each side. Rounding. This means to kind of walk like either counterclockwise or clockwise around somebody. So kind of like you're rounding on them. You're creating an arc. So fluster. What does it mean to fluster? That means to get on somebody's nerves or get under their skin. A sigil. What's a sigil? An inscribed or painted symbol considered to have magical power. So it's like somebody with their finger writing their name in the air in cursive and you actually see it. Bonfire. What's a bonfire? Where can you expect to see a bonfire real quick? At a beach. Okay. And it's a random fire. Emblazoned. What's just a craft word for emblazoned? It starts with an M. Embroidered. So emblazoned would be like with fire. So that would be like on a saddle or on some leather or on some hide. And it would just be like a circle of fire embroidered into the ground. Catalyst, something that speeds up or brings forth an event. Amplification normally relates to sound as in turning up the volumes. In this case, this meant, in this book, Tech Mage, it meant increasing the electrical signal of the rifles or making the fire more intense. Munitions are what? Guns, ammo, weapons, arms. Frumpy is what? Starts with a U. Unkempt. Unkempt. Unfashionable and unkempt. Preening. Of a person to devote effort to making oneself look attractive and then admire one's appearance. Matron. In this sense, warrior means middle-aged looking in comparison to the beautiful tender. You know what? It might also mean kind of like the opposite of a patron. Thank you, fine patron. Like we don't use it anymore, but kind of like Oliver's Twist benefactor or something like that. Like a woman who has money who's going to contribute something. But for now, it just means a middle-aged woman. Prudent, necessary with urgency or attention to detail. Warily, cautiously, carefully, instinctively, without conscious thought, by natural instinct. Dower, How do you spell dour? D-O-U-R. Relentlessly severe, stern, or gloomy in manner or appearance. Ewer. How do you spell ewer? It starts with an E. E-W-E-R. And it's a large jug or pitcher. Steady illuminations, its lights. A chrome harness. Well, we're about 5 minutes into this. You should be listening actively at this point. You should be listening actively just fine. So, the harness is a restraint, and it's chrome. So, this would be like one of your favorite roller coasters at Six Flags or SeaWorld. It's just got something that locks in both of your arms, and it's painted chrome. It's painted chrome, so it's like a chrome color. Manacle. What is a manacle? And can you tell me when you were in manacles and how many times you were in manacles? Okay, manacles are handcuffs. But when some authors are using the term manacles and some humans are thinking the term manacles, they're also thinking of some high-tech stuff. Some stuff that's pretty much science fiction, kind of fantasy. So, like glowing manacles, because they have some kind of some kind of field on them. But those would be handcuffs, and you've been in handcuffs about 2 times, about 2 or 3 times. Gauntlets. Where can you see gauntlets? What movie can you see gauntlets in? The Cable Guy. Because they're at a Renaissance restaurant, and that's what they do in terms of Renaissance fairs and Renaissance themed anything. And that's going to be, they wear Renaissance themed clothes. Now the gauntlet is also going to be seen in what cartoon? It's Inspector Gadget. They used to give you headaches. So, gauntlets are armored gloves. And sometimes they can be a lot bigger than the hands. Okay, pitted. That means pockmarked or face craters. So a face that's all pitted up. That means when they say that a face that's all pitted up, that means you had a lot of pimples, and they left like craters or indentions in your face. So you have like 3 or 4 that are like indents. Hyperbole. Hyperbole. Exaggerated statements or claims not meant to be taken literally. Quizzically. Odd, queer, or comical. Questioning or puzzled. A quizzical expression on her face, derisively. Questioning, ridiculing, or chafing. And that's just all under quizzically. Derisively is not a word. No. Well, it is a word, but that's not one of my key terms. No. Angling. Positioning a book bag, rifle, purse, or something that hangs on a person. So just basically when you're in high school, when you're walking the halls and you're tired of carrying the books, just basically moving it from one area to the next. Like when you're walking, just moving your book bag from one area to the next, or just when you're walking, just angling it. And also fishing too, angling it. Harrying, harassing or constantly attacking. Hilt, the handle of a sword or samurai blade. Ichor, thick fluid caused by infection that includes white blood cells and cellular debris. Maybe white, yellow, pink, or green tinge. That's like a health term. So you don't really have to worry about it too much. You just want to make sure that you're actively listening, that you're practicing active listening. Jettison somebody. Well, I've had a jettison dream. So what does jettison mean? About 4 or 5 years ago, I had a jettison dream. So what does jettison mean? It means being thrown off the ship. So that's whether you're in a boat. So being pushed off the ship or being thrown out of being thrown out of a spaceship. And that's the one I had. I was thrown out of a spaceship. So jettison. Delve into. Looked into intensely. Whereabouts? That's like, where are they now? Last week, where do they frequent? Desultory. Of conversation or speech, going constantly from one subject to another in a half-hearted way. Unfocused. Klaxon, an electric horn or a similar loud warning device. And it looks like it just looks like a klaxon. I can't really see it. It's just like some kind of military horn that's gonna be on the wall and everything that's gonna wake them up, or about to be like drill time. It's time to do a drill. Mercenary, a professional soldier hired to serve in a foreign army. Consortium means company or corporation, in this case, an association typically of several business companies. So consortium. Temporal, relating to worldly as opposed to spiritual affairs. Temporal, or just human affairs. So temporal. What does that word sound like? Temples. So between people with temples. With timed temples. With temples that expire. So it's secular or worldly or just human affairs. Umbral, relating to or being the complete shadow of an opaque body such as a planet where all direct light from the source of illumination is cut off. Yeah, that's just some scary looking place. And how it works is there's got to be non-human spirits there for you to even be having to wander there. There's got to be Jesus Christ or God there for you to even have the misfortune of wandering there for a few hours straight, or for like a couple of days, or like slowly dying there. Word, especially of a machine, make a low, continuous, regular sound. Keening of a sound, prolonged and high-pitched, typically in a way that expresses grief or sorrow. So both of those. Can you tell me how to spell word and also keening? So word is what? Wiffle bat. What? So word is WHIRRED. Keening is, oh wait. Keening is Keening. Keening. Okay, moving on. Suffuse, gradually spread through or over. Think exactly what? So suffused. Suffused. Kind of like, what would you see online where you see something suffused through? What would you see online? What would you see online? You've been seeing it for quite some time, since you've been in high school, so what would you see online to explain this picture-wise? It's a three-letter word. It's called a GIF for both photos and moving picture, okay, or animated picture. So what next? What is going to be something that you would see involved or pictures personified, suffused? A picture of a mountain, maybe as a GIF that just has the fog constantly going, the fog in a loop. So it's going in a loop down the mountain. And it's going in a loop, a loop down the mountain, just backwards and forwards, and it's fog. So it's suffused. And it just looks really good. Or you can say, what else? You can say the whole room is about to be suffused, or you can say infused, in this case, with an aromatherapy um, machine. An aromatherapy machine. Anyways, the definition: the practice of seeking knowledge of the future or the unknown by supernatural means. Hmm. Just think about that for a few ticks. Okay. And what I was thinking of for suffused is, I had to just double check. It's a humidifier. A humidifier. So that's another word that uses suffusion or suffused and also infused as well, but mostly suffused. Attrition, the action or process of gradually reducing the strength or effectiveness of someone or something through sustained attack, or pressure. Make sure you rewind that one and see if you can again say what attrition is. Subsonic, relating to or flying at a speed or speeds less than that of sound. Foothold, a place where a person can escape and hide. Houses, pretty much. So like houses underneath, a tunnel underneath, or something along those lines. Not a trench. A trench is different. It might look tunnelish, but it's like open most of the time. Well, sometimes closed. Kind of like the same thing. Nimbus, a luminous cloud or a halo surrounding a supernatural being or a saint. A large gray rain cloud, nimbus clouds. Okay, so I just saw nimbus clouds, about 2 weeks ago in the sky. So the nimbus clouds, how it looks is, it looks like the picture with some light here and there. It doesn't look supernatural to our eyes, and it's just going to look like that's it for the day. Nimbus clouds, and this is what you see in the sky. Just that stretched forever. So like over the whole city. That's what it'll look like. And it has some brightness, and it has some brightness that looks white or glowy, and then it has kind of like varying gray, variations of white gray and just regular gray, but not going too gray um, on the sky. Mm. And we have seen those forever and just call them clouds. They are clouds. But the whole idea is, again, a screen. Somebody who's going to change the screensaver or the wallpaper today. So the whole idea, grand style, is that. Fissure. A long narrow opening or line of breakage made by cracking or splitting, especially in rock or earth. This also doubles as a health term as well. And that's just when you're constipated and you push too hard and your rectum tears. The fissure that they're talking about is going to be in the ground, and it's just going to be cracks. It's just going to be cracks looking like it's seemingly stretched in an area, or just looking like it's cracked. Matte lipstick or color. Matte is lipstick or color. So that's, how do you spell that? Okay, it's Matte. Claustrophobic. Of a person having an irrational or extreme fear of confined places. So that's real. They get anxiety when they're in a confined place. I have claustrophobia as well. It's part of the mental illness, and it just gets really, I'm really claustrophobic when I'm in a confined area. But a real confined area, not like the elevator or the elevator as well. So it's just straight up claustrophobia. The elevator as well, should it break down and I be stuck there. Irked. What's another word real quick for irked? We said it earlier and it starts with an F. Flustered. Bothered. That's what the definition for irked says. Bothered or gotten under someone's skin. Overweening. Showing excessive confidence or pride. Battalion. A large body of troops ready for battle, especially an infantry unit forming part of a brigade, typically commanded by a lieutenant colonel. Groused. Complain pettily. Grumble. Scour. Search meticulously. Chastise, rebuke, or reprimand severely. Thrusters, a small group. I'm sorry, excuse me. Let me just do this real quick. I have to delete something in this file here in this document. Thrusters, a small group. Excuse me, just still messed up. Thrusters, a small rocket engine on a spacecraft used to make alterations in its flight path or altitude. So in the book, Sergeant Cruz has thrusters on his shoes. So those are going to be thrusters that use an engine so that he can fly quickly. But it's also spelled to him. It looks like the people just decided on spelled. That way the stuff is more precise, just more precise. Their weapons are more precise, instead of leaving it all up to human error and just maybe it works and maybe it doesn't. Most of the time it does, but still too much. Magma. What is magma? Hot fluid or semi-fluid material below or within the Earth's crust from which lava and other igneous rock is formed on cooling. Battle bridge. A strategy room. What picture do you have here for battle bridge? It's beam me up, Scotty. So beam me up, Scotty is a hint. Beam me up, Scotty. Star Trek. Star Trek. And why is that? Because they're stationed in a battle room. So their main command deck, or their main deck where they're watching an enemy and stuff like that, that's going to be technically called a battle bridge. So get to the battle bridge, and that's where they're going to see pretty much everything. Ethereal. That's word I want you to spell. And I want you to really think about this. Um, you is going to be Danielle, and it's me giving you the words. Everybody already knows this. Everybody always knows this. That it's just all me. It's just a silly bot masking my voice, and that's pretty much it. But this word, ethereal, is very important. So it's extremely important. Now it's extremely delicate and light in a way that seems too perfect for this world. That's the definition, but my definition is just going to be like heavenly magical thing. And what I'm looking at picture-wise is going to be just something really beautiful in the stars in the clouds with a blue tint on it. Stars, white, clouds, whitish, but it has a blue or purplish tint on the picture. So it's something very important because I've read that word ethereal and looked it up at least 5 times. Okay, it just means heavenly or spiritual things. Just heavenly. Heavenly, though, like the good way. So spiritual would be the good way. So no more looking up ethereal. Elemental, primary or basic. Elemental, or something related to nature, concerning all the elements. Tendrils. Tendrils. Okay. Can you think of somebody who may have tendrils? Somebody who you've seen in a movie, a favorite movie of yours, who may have tendrils or tendrils growing all over in his house. He may have had tendrils growing all over in his house. And tendrils, it would sound like a bad thing. Tendrils would sound like brambles. Brambles indeed. So can you think of somebody who might have had that? Tendrils? Okay, I'll give you the definition first, and then after the definition, I want you to tell me the movie and the person's name, the character's name. So the definition for tendrils is a slender thread-like appendage of a climbing plant, often growing in a spiral form that stretches out and twines around any suitable support. Now what they have here as a picture is something that's just like curly. So tendrils, you can use it to describe women's hair too. Just like those curly, just like a curly rings. Even like some weed that I like to wear. Just like curly mixed looking hair. And the tendrils though, they can kind of double too as moss vines. Moss vines, because that's what I saw when I looked up the word tendril and how she had looked, and those limbs that could fall to the ground, those look like moss vines. That's what it looks like, how they draw that person. So moss vines that can move wherever. Tendrils, like tentacles, but for plants. Okay, tetanus, lockjaw disease. Bulkhead, a dividing wall or barrier between compartments in a ship, aircraft, or other vehicle. Jovially. What's another word that's similar to jovially? It starts with a J, and it's kind of cosmetic. That's a hint. Juvenation. Juvenation. So jovially is in a very friendly or pleasant way. So kind of like youngish, like they're kind of friendly and pleasant looking or something. But jovially, youthfully, balefully, in a way that shows a threat to do something bad or hurt someone. Adroitly, in a clever or skillful way. Adroitly. That sounds like android, because when I do look up the word adroitly, a robot comes up. So kind of like android. Kind of like them kind of talking about how androids do stuff, how robots do stuff in a clever or skillful way. But we can use that to represent people too and them doing stuff. But that's just kind of looking like the etymology of it. So we're only going to be referencing people in the first place, but I'm just kind of referencing kind of like, looks like what the etymology is. Mezzanine, a low story between two others in a building, typically between the ground and the upper floors, like level 2, 1, and garage. Level 1 is the mezzanine. So think about the casino. So you'll see the garage, the second floor, and the first floor, maybe even the third floor. But if you're in the parking garage now, you have to go up to the mezzanine, and that's the first floor. Garish, obtrusively bright and showy, lurid. So more like 70s colors. You would just have to see the colors, so definitely not neon 80s. But garish means more like 70s colors. Acrid, having an irritatingly strong and unpleasant taste or smell. Can you think of a synonym really quickly? It starts with either a P or an R. Putrid. Wariness, caution about possible dangers or problems. Dithering, being indecisive, implacable, unable to be placated, unappeasable. Allocated, distribute resources or duties for a particular purpose, cogently, in a way that is clearly expressed and is likely to persuade people. Sullenly, sullenly, agree and unwilling. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, cancel that one. So, sullen, sullenly. How do you spell sullenly? Okay, it's Sullenly, and it's angry and unwilling to smile or be pleasant to people. Muzzle flares. Muzzle flash is the light, both visible and infrared, created by a muzzle blast, which is caused by the sudden release and expansion of high temperature, high pressure gases from the muzzle of a firearm during shooting. That one's just okay. You can listen to it, but that one's just okay. You don't have to remember it. A hanger. You've read this one or read the definition for it about like 10 or 15 years ago, and you always know what it is. It's a large building with an extensive floor area, typically for housing aircraft. Excursion. 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 A short journey or trip, especially one engaged in as a leisure activity. Pikeys. Hold on. Pikeys. Okay, if you had to think of one word to quickly describe this word pikeys, if you had to think of one picture to describe this word quickly, pikeys, what would you think of? The movie Snatch with Brad Pitt. That's real quick. How they're going to be talking is apparently a little bit pikish, and that's the deal. Now, this is British slang. A pikey is offensive, a gypsy or vagrant. It's a derogatory word to be used from a person perceived to be from a low social class, or you can low social class, excuse me. Missive, a letter, especially a long or official one. Pragmatic. Okay, so the missive is just a long or official one. Sometimes the official, if you wanted to see, if you want to have a real quick picture in your mind, it's going to be like from that small soldier slot on and what do they call that kind of software? Casino. Ooh, it's not Sagatech, but it's just gonna be like from Black Black Lotus Casino, and just all those casinos with that same kind of look. Yeah, real quick, a missive. You can see it on the small soldiers um slide. Okay, pragmatic. Dealing with things sensibly and realistically in a way that is based on practical rather than theoretical considerations. Lording. Holding a grudge and signifying and gesturing to show it. Luminescent. Emitting light not caused by heat, but caused by a chemical reaction. What can you think of really quickly that will give you a good idea of what luminescence is? What can you think of really quickly? Glow sticks. You just break them, you just snap them, and they light up. So there's no heat needed, they just light up. Canisters, a round or cylindrical container, typically one made of metal, used for storing such things as food, chemicals, or rolls of film. Okay, translucent, of a substance allowing light but not detailed shapes to pass through, semi-transparent. Okay, so this is going to be the end of this video. I've spoken a lot. Um, don't let the don't let anything get you down here. Of course, yeah, this bot is just not going to be talking to as myself. It's just not going to be talking as Danielle. Sometimes it's just really retarded. It's non-black. It's not compatible with my personality at all, and it's just a deal that we just got to be like, okay. But don't worry about any of the stuttering or any of it would look like brain fog because you're going to learn all these words and these words are going to be in your mind forever or for quite some time. You just have to be repetitive and on it. Okay? So, bonne journée, bonjour, au revoir, ciao.